Hey everybody, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective, and
Collin here.
we are ready to bring you episode 4 of Visions, Volume 2, from Aardman Studios, or really they just call themselves Aardman, but
Yeah,
the name of the episode is I Am Your Mother.
And as far as I'm concerned, this is like the coolest episode yet as far as animation goes because it's by a studio that's like I love.
We all know.
Yeah.
Like, we all know their stuff, and if you don't know them by name, let's
Now
just...
I'm like, they
like-
better let Pixar do this.
yeah, right? Like, at some point...
I want to see Toy Story in space.
That would be so great. But like they did the Wallace and Gromit stuff. They've done Shaun the Sheep, Chicken Run.
Yep.
You know, like they've been producing, especially those Wallace and Gromit stuff, either from like Curse of the Were Rabbit, that feature length film, to any of the shorts that they have done with that stuff. Like I mean, I don't know. For me, that stuff's been around our entire life
Since forever.
So getting to get this episode from them, it was really great.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. One thing I will say before we dive in, from the filmmaker focus that I always love to talk about, because they don't give us enough special features anymore on digital streaming.
Yeah.
And but like it took them a year and a half to do this. So like literally
This episode?
Yeah. This episode for
I gotta appreciate
Aardman.
that, yeah.
Dude, there are 60 different characters
Right.
that they make. And
Right.
the other thing that Aardman does, again, from the filmmaker focus, before we dive in here, they physically make their toys, their figures, their ships, and everything. And that's how they do like the old school, like before people used to make clay, so it was easier to make it movable. We got the claymation or the stop motion animation and stuff, and that's where all of this stuff like lives and breathes. And very much so, just like the previous episode that we got from Punk Robot and from Chile and whatnot, like in the stars. That episode is also like that, like claymation, stop motion animation kind of stuff.
Yeah, way different style, but like very, very familiar. Yeah.
Right. So without further ado, let's dive into I Am Your Mother from Aardman. And
I love the name.
It's so great, but like, how about the beginning of this? We get a classic character back, and we had talked about this before. Maybe, I don't know if we even put it out on the pod, or if we had talked about it off mic, but we had talked about old characters showing up in Visions. Like we got Boba Fett and we got Jabba Hutt and Jabba the Hutt.
Here we go, right out. Yep.
In Volume 1 and in Volume 2.
We get Wedge Antilles. It's played by Dennis Lawson. Isn't this...
it's the original Wedge Antilles.
Yes, but isn't this Ewan McGregor's uncle?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's such a cool connection.
And it's insane. And we're at this Hannah City where Wedge basically is part of like the academy, basically, that Luke is trying to get to in A New Hope, where all the pilots are going there, and they're having their family race basically. And it's awesome. We get introduced to the daughter, and we get introduced to the mother, Collin, who we don't actually get her name. They give her name to us in the filmmaker focus. But her daughter being called Annie was something that like stood out to me right away.
Right.
Because, we get everybody, like from Jar Jar, everybody calling Anakin Annie.
Yeah.
All in the like prequel trilogy. And like it was so great to have that. Like it was so good.
And she's, a pilot. She wants to be a pilot, so just like Anakin was a pilot.
Yeah, he did those pod races, and then Luke, doing his stuff too. It's great. But I love this because like we get the very clear thing that like of the mother-daughter relationship, or really any kind of like kid-parent relationship.
Right. So the mother is like a kind of a hermit, like kind of a what would be a good word? She's different for sure. She's definitely not like a normal person in this society they're living in, and you could tell that Annie's kind of annoyed and embarrassed of her.
Yeah.
She's not. She loves her mom for sure. You could tell.
No question about that.
Yeah. She definitely loves her mom, but she's embarrassed. She's like a teenager, so
what are you gonna do?
Her mom doesn't fit in with the rest of the other moms, But
because like her mom is like is a little bit more quirky. Is definitely like way more blue collar and stuff, because we see her like welding Like, and one of the greatest little Easter eggs they give us is they give us the Din Djarin Mandalorian
Oh yeah,
helmet.
so cool. She just has it as her welding mask. Yeah.
As her welding mask. Like, it's so great. I love it. Her mom, during the scene where we're getting introduced, we've got Annie listening to the Wedge Antilles announcement about the race and everything. We've got her mom then fixing their droid, Z1. But it was so interesting because like everyone like in the filmmaker focus kept calling it Z1. So I actually thought
Yeah.
Right, it's a common thing of
yeah.
like where you say Z, you'll also call it like
That makes
Z.
sense, though. Yeah.
But all of the what am I thinking of, the subtitles quoted it as Z1. So like I was like, why are they calling it Z? But it's being quoted as Z. It took me way too long.
British people are weird. British people are weird.
I don't know about...
No, speak normal. No, I'm joking. Just kidding.
But it's so Z1 is fixed but falls off the table and then replays this like really adorable message from I don't know, years prior or whatever. It's a very young Annie and her mom, and like they're calling her like Red Leader and Red 2 and stuff. And like
it's when her mom was a little younger and she was still a pilot, and teaching her how to fly. And
it was back really
from the youngest age.
I mean, in the end, it was back from when Annie wasn't embarrassed of her mother.
Yep, and she loved Mom. Mommy was her best friend back then. Yeah,
right.
And and you could see that her mom notices it, but just it's kind of like, oh, this is a phase, which most moms will do that, and that's good. That's a good move because they will come back. Yeah. And
then we get to the race course. Oh, before we get to the race course though, how about that maybe peanut butter and jelly sandwich that her mom makes for her? She drops a little drop into a little container of mush. It looks like, and it basically like forms into this whole new
honestly I'd be down if food did that.
Oh yeah,
I would be so down.
Like absolutely. But then we go to the race course, and everyone's like, Annie, why aren't you racing? And she's like, oh no, my mom had to like work, and she's mending
all the excuses.
She's like mending a leaky pipe and whatnot. Then we get the rival, the Van People, or Van Riepel, that's their name. God, she's just evil.
Yeah, they're just meanies.
Yeah, calling her like ship like a porta potty when really it's a space tug. But Julian and Dorota.
Yeah,
Dorota Van Riepel. Jesus, I'll keep
the Van Riepels.
Right, they're the big bads.
Yeah,
there are like evil people here. And
and it's like, where's your mom? Like type of. It's just like a very contentious relationship. You could tell from the beginning, but yeah, she also Annie's got friends.
Yeah,
at least this other girl doesn't have friends, and you could tell why. She's got followers.
Yeah, because even her friends are like, why are you letting her talk to you like that? That like you can stand up to her or whatever, and Annie's just kind of like whatever. We get the Wookiee call, which I love. And like her friend's like,
I love
exactly.
That. I love this Wookiee. In this.
The Wookiee's great. The lineup for the race is awesome because we get the Wookiee again, and we get the baby Wookiee like just playing with his little like plush or stuffed animal or whatever, and then the little baby frogs are like like just making noises. What does the Wookiee do? Let the Wookiee win.
Yeah.
Why do you let the Wookiee win? Because otherwise, the Wookiee will rip your arms off, and that's exactly what
they will rip you in half. Yeah,
and that's exactly what the Wookiee does here. Is it rips its arms off its stuffed animal, and then the little like frogs are like, stop and like close the door.
No, it's not so funny anymore.
It's like, no, God, no. But we also get the very also embarrassing thing of Annie's mom showing up.
Yeah. She rolls up just like in the middle of the before the race.
Dude, one of the funniest things is the floating. Like they let it linger there, like the comedy of just the bra floating down, coming from the ship. Like
who did it land on again?
It lands on the announcer.
Yeah.
It lands on the announcer droid, And then the whole ship comes down, and Annie's like, "Oh God!" starts picking up all the clothes and whatnot. And her mom's like, "Wait, there's a race going on. What's
Yeah,
going
what
on?
the
I didn't
heck?"
know. Like a family race,
Yeah.
like for families. Like why aren't we doing this?" And the Van Reeple people are
The Van Reeple people.
are just terrible.
No, okay. So the Van Reeples are like basically like they're just like the evil rich family that have bought in to the race more than they've done like been the best pilots,
they care about like the
aesthetic
and the prestige of it. They don't care about like just trying to pilot or anything. They care about like all the accolades that come with it. Like the daughter is the one in the front of the poster with the V of everybody else from the academy behind them and stuff.
Yep.
And like
yeah.
So we get strapped in eventually. Everybody gets in there. They get ready, and the race starts. And this race is awesome. The race is awesome, but Annie also kind of lets it go on her mom too. That like this is embarrassing.
Yeah, she unloads on her mom.
Like a little unfairly too.
Yeah.
But like we get it. Like
teenagers.
Like this is. You're embarrassing. Z1 not working is embarrassing. The spaceship is embarrassing. Like all of it, and then like her mom kind of realizes like, oh, I didn't realize that's like
how you felt,
how you really felt, and it's just like, oh man, it just like hurts. The Van Reeple people. Knock them like during this like emotional thing, like knock them through a sign and everything. It totally messes up their little bit of the lead and like the race that they have going on. And Annie has to take over the piloting. Mom goes out to go save Z1 because Z1 has got like his little like anchor like latch
hanging on
thing
to the back of the ship. Yeah,
and it's awesome, dude.
Yep.
Because then
she gets caught out there and she's like, well,
you got to do it.
On you, Annie.
Like you got to do it. Annie flies. They get him through. It's awesome. Then we get the little like Van Reeple people. They've got a little Death Star thing that kind of comes out.
Yeah,
on their
that
wing
was a cool little.
And like start shooting, like start shooting off like different people and all that and whatnot. But Annie, how about her flying here when she stays in the blind spot?
Yep, she learned a lot from her mom, and she did like the tricks that her mom taught her to
Ryloth roll.
To ultimately win the race.
Right, they do the Ryloth roll to get out of the way of the Van Reeple people, and it's also, but it's reminiscent of what we saw in that earlier message that Z1 played. That was also similar to like what R2 playing the message of like Princess Leia and whatnot of the doing the Ryloth roll here. Annie does it to save her mom from getting shot by the Van Reeple people, basically. They get that. They crash, though. The Van Reeple people crash into, like, the platform, basically, the landing platform. And it's awesome, because Annie and her mom win. The Van Reeple people are crashed. They don't even finish.
They don't play.
That's one of the best things ever, is that they crash, come straight up, and then fall backwards. Don't even pass the line. They don't even finish.
Unless they push themselves to the finish line.
Yeah, I guess
they
at
didn't
that
show
point.
that part.
And one of the things at the end, then after the race and everything, Annie is talking to her mom. She's like, "All right, I was a little hard on you. I shouldn't have said that. You are just a little bit embarrassing." And then the mom says like the wonderful thing, the title of the episode. She's like, "Of course I am." She's like, "Of course I am your mother." And then that's where the episode like cuts. And then we get the closing credits. One of the best things that I actually kept going for because they gave us more content during it is Wedge Antilles signing off during the closing credits. He's still hawking his like t-shirts and stuff at the stands and everything.
It's so funny.
It's awesome. And
like you could tell he's like a paid appearance now. Like later in he's like a retired guy.
It's so awesome. And then like obviously I like to go over a few things in the filmmaker focus here. It was directed by Magdalena
Osinska.
Osinska.
I don't know how that's.
And she it was really great. because she talks about like what drove her to this. Like she's a mother to a son, so she wanted to have like a mother daughter, or she wanted to have a mother story, a mother child story, be at the center of it. But then like everybody here, they all ask about like things that like brought Star Wars to like them, like what
this is going to bring
what
Star Wars to an even younger generation than they're used to.
They talk about like some of the producers and stuff talk about the stop motion and doing like the bits and using the toys and everything of it, and every single person involved here all had a different moment of where they were like, well, yeah, making the things on the chess pieces, because they actually built like models there and then they reprojected it and stuff on there to give you that like look or whatever, but that was all like models and stuff. And then people were like, well, of course the AT-AT walking on like Hoth.
Yeah.
One of the other things they talk about is the ATST in Jedi that is all like bumbling on the logs when the Ewoks like release it or whatever. It's all bumping and then it falls over. So it's like, so like all of these ideas of like building these tangible things and then filming it and giving like Star Wars this wonderful life and continuing that history that Star Wars has ever done
in their composition. It was very cool.
In their way of doing it was just so awesome. And one of the things I do got to say is like one of the producers also was like, I mean, one of the great things about Aardman is like coming here and whatnot was the toys, was playing with the toys.
I was gonna say,
like that's so great. But they all talked about like the visuals and what it meant, and like, man, when they said it took a year and a half and they made over 60 different characters, and then they teamed up like to make everything work as they do, like as any animated movie or project or whatever, you have a certain team that does this certain thing, that certain thing, and then they all mash it together.
It's crazy.
Know, they all take the pieces together and put it together, take the puzzle pieces together and make your puzzle. And so it was really cool to have them talk about like, you know, when we do this kind of animation with this technique or this character, we had these group of animators here because that's what they specialized in. And that's like it was just so great of like, I don't know, seeing all these creative
collaboration
things, like,
creative collaboration is an amazing thing.
Yeah, I love it.
It's even possible.
I love it. It was so great. I really love Visions. You got anything else you want to say on Visions?
I just love this episode specifically because I think it's just going to open up fans to like people that necessarily maybe wouldn't have been fans of Star Wars to start watching at a younger age.
Yeah.
And getting them into it, getting them in knowing characters and how Star Wars tells its stories. And I like this episode a lot.
It was so good. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I am Jimmy with the Triple C Collective.
Collin here.
And we want to thank you all for joining us. Please like and subscribe to our video and to the channel. We hope you all stay safe. And as always, may the Force be with you.